exploring lakes, rivers, and reservoirs across the country with an unyielding goal to enlighten viewers from a fisheye perspective. Come along and we'll investigate the habitat. Much more than a fishing show, this is an eye-opening aquatic experience. Welcome to Kim Stricker's Hook and Look. As the water temperature drops, largemouth bass move shallow and feed on resident forage species. Furthermore, they can often be fooled by lures that emulate the food source. On this week's episode, we'll learn more about crankbaits from a proficient guest and a bass eye perspective. Certainly an informative tutorial. Moreover, in the process, Kim is reminded of a more humbling lesson.
Some days are diamonds, and some days are stones.
It's early December, and the onset of a winter climate is on the doorstep here in the Ozarks. Today's forecast is calling for strong winds and thunderstorms, just a prelude to high pressure and dropping temps. Yet, in the face of these shifting conditions, Kim and his guest, Pringles Pro Angler Greg Bohannan, head out to challenge the elements with one eye to the sky.
The storms are supposed to come in when?
About 9 to 10 o'clock. We got a little window here in the morning.
And then it's going to blow and be nasty and then freeze them.
But it could be a good recipe to catch them, though.
This bank kind of drops off pretty quick.
It does. It's probably 20 or 30 feet just off the bank a little ways. But there's just enough of a shelf up there to hold those fish. There's one. There's one.
That one?
I don't know.
Right. Oh, that's a decent
nice
spot too.
Nice largemouth.
It's a largemouth?
Yep.
Come on over here. All
There
right.
we go. Keep your
There we
largemouth.
go. That's very nice.
All right. You know, we're coming right down that bluff. Right after it gets to the end of the bluff, start to flatten out a little bit, got a little pea gravel there, right there on the transition.
Perfect.
That's spring and fall fishing, crankbait fishing right there.
On the green.
On the
Series
green.
3.
On the green. Aha.
I told you we were going to catch them
All
back
right,
here.
cool. All right. That's awesome.
Welcome to Hook and Look. Today's pattern develops as largemouth move tight to the bank and forage primarily for crayfish that reside in the rocks. In fact, while conducting our underwater surveillance, we actually captured a bass doing just that. Watch closely as a crayfish is startled and darts off the shallow bank directly into the face of the largemouth. Unbelievably, that bass didn't open his mouth and engulf the crayfish. He actually appeared to be more dumbfounded than in an ambush mode, perhaps because of the presence of our camera. But regardless, you can plainly see why this scenario makes a Series 3 crankbait an ideal choice for emulating the crustaceans and effectively working the shallow rocks for bass. Further offshore, however, opens the door for other predators. Here's one.
Got one?
There's one. That actually feels like a decent fish.
Good deal.
It's because it's a walleye.
It's a walleye. Oh, that's a good eating fish, though.
That is. That is.
I actually get excited when I catch a walleye on this lake.
It's actually not a bad walleye.
It's a good one. Well, it's a good eating size walleye.
Well, that sure is. All right. It's a walleye. That hook out of him. There we go. Look at that. That's a good eating fish.
It is.
That's lunch.
It is lunch. Well, Beaver Lake has really came on with walleye in the last few years.
Has it?
Yeah, it's been really good. We're excited about them.
We catch them back home for sure. Very nice. I'll let him go though. All right. Here he goes.
All right, cool.
Cool.
At least the walleye like the red one.
You can see how they wrap up in the net. With this net, those crankbait hooks just come right out.
I'm a big fan of the RS net. That's
Yep.
a great net.
Never did fish the walleye tour.
They restocked them about 10 years ago in Beaver, and they've really done well. They were native to the White River, and then kind of died out some, and really made a comeback the last few years. That's where one should be, right there. There's one. There's a good one.
All right.
If it's a good one. Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
Good one. Oh yeah.
There we go. All right.
Good.
Woo.
Largemouth.
Right on the transition, right what we were just talking about. Right on the transition.
You are the man.
You know, we had to work hard all day. It's been extremely tough. You know, we had a warm front last week. It kind of pushed those fish off the bank, but we stayed after it, kept hitting those transition banks. Finally got another good largemouth on the transition.
Stay where you're at. The crankbait bite continues. Right after a word from our sponsors. Hook and Look is brought to you by Strike King Lure Company, #1 in fishing lures. Seagar, trust Seagar when everything is on the line. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. The original Owaki tool, your soft bait's best mate. And by Indian River, Michigan Tourist Bureau. Pure water, pure trails, pure north.
Drop those drift paddles down.
Those do help a bunch.
Oh, they help a bunch.
Sometimes when the water's warm like this in the late fall, it takes a major cold front to drop the water temperature to bring those big ones up on the bank. Even though it's a cold front, they still react positive to it in the fall. I think the crankbait bite is just starting, but I think as these cold fronts, we continue to have cold fronts, there's gonna be more and more fish move shallow, and right now it's just a matter of covering enough water in order to get come across a few fish that are up shallow. But a couple weeks from now, I'm sure more and more fish will be up here shallow, and it'll get much easier to catch them.
As the weatherman predicted, the sky darkened and the wind amplified considerably. Torrential rain and thunderstorms were soon to follow. Overnight, the clouds dissipated, as if escorted away by the rapidly plummeting temperatures. Fortunately, the wind had diminished as well, and the day was greeted with renewed confidence.
All right. There's one. First cast.
First cast. Them guys are big. They're all good. They're all good.
You keep a spot, maybe?
Yeah, it is.
Keep a spot.
It is.
Woo. First cast of the day.
Yeah. All right. You're just like magic.
Well, hopefully this theory holds true. Cold front in the fall, early winter in the Ozarks usually means really good fishing. A lot of times it spurs the fish up shallow. We struggled a little bit yesterday, but this may be a good sign that cold front in the fall is a good thing here in the Ozarks.
I mean, they're right on the bank.
They're right on the bank. I've seen it time and time again. People think it's cold, they're gonna be out deep, they're moving off. They really don't in the Ozarks. They push up shallow. That's why that crankbait bite's good in the winter. Nice little spotted bass for starts of morning. Good keeper. Let's let him go. Ah.
You do know every rock, right?
Well, I just cast it on the point. I'm pretty familiar with the rocks around this lake, but I did just cast on the point.
There's a 35-degree difference this morning than it was when we took out of the water yesterday. It was 70 and 35 this morning.
35. But hopefully it's going to make a bite today. When the fish get extremely shallow like that, that angle of the cast is really important, especially coming down a steep bank. Because if you're 3 or 4 feet off the bank with that cast, then you're really not in the strike zone.
So you want to be more parallel?
You want to be more parallel. The more parallel you can be, seems like the better you keep that bait in the strike zone longer.
Right. Well, that was certainly a lesson Greg was teaching me. When taking into consideration that the strike zone was so tight to the bank, it made perfect sense that the boat positioning was critical. If I kept the boat too far away from the bank, our casting angle limited the amount of time our lures were in the productive zone. Yet, when positioning the boat tighter to the bank, our casts paralleled the strike zone much closer, dramatically increasing our odds of getting bit, as Greg continued to demonstrate.
There's a good one, big one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's actually spitting snow on us.
It is. I see it. Oh, that is nice. Ooh, yeah.
There we go.
That good.
Woo!
Yes.
Cold water cranking, man.
I
love it.
You are handing me a lesson. I'll tell you. This proves how humbling this sport can be.
I've been there, man. It can be a humbling day.
But good. Hey, good job. Again, your crankbait.
There might bite that, and I barely felt him bite. Crankbait just fell out of his mouth just now. So awesome, great fish.
You stud.
Awesome fish.
Stay tuned. An informative segment comparing crankbait models is on deck.
The Series 3 crankbait has proven ideal for the shallow yet steep bank presentation, more notably today in the hands of Greg Bohannan. Nonetheless, Strike King offers a wide variety of crankbaits, each model designed to exhibit a fish-attracting action and peak performance at specified depths. So you should consider each crankbait as a precise tool designed for a particular job at hand. A good analogy is to compare crankbaits to a set of golf clubs. Most of us understand that each club is designed to hit a golf ball at a specific height and distance. For instance, a 9-iron could pop a ball over a tree. A driver will hit a line drive at a great distance, and it's highly unlikely you would select a 3-wood to putt with. Well, crankbaits are very much similar in the fact that each are designed to be presented at specific depths, not heights. The point I'm getting at is, choosing a crankbait designed to dive to 15 feet is not necessarily the best choice when targeting a 9-foot depth. The way they perform upon bottom contact is different, and to demonstrate this aspect, we ventured underwater to examine the dissimilar characteristics. Our comparison was done at a depth of 9 feet, first presenting a Strike King Series 5 crankbait, which was designed for this general depth range. You'll notice how the lure scoots across the bottom on approximately a 45-degree angle, kicking up the bottom sediment, much in the same manner as a crayfish darting in distress. Now let's slow down the footage and look at it in slow motion. Again, notice the angle and how naturally the lure scurries across the bottom. Next, let's compare this action with a Series 5 XD crankbait. The XD stands for extra deep, and its design, which is recommended for a depth range to 15 feet, causes a steep dive angle, enabling this lure to dive faster and deeper than other crankbaits its size. Yet, when presented at the shallower 9-foot depth, displays different characteristics than their recommended counterpart. Notice how the steep dive angle makes the bait pound more vertically into the bottom at this depth, in turn causing it to hop and pound in what I would call a ride-'em cowboy style. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a crayfish act in this fashion. Sure, you could still sink a putt with a 3-wood, and I'm not doubtful that you could still get bit at this depth with a deeper crankbait. But as you can see, it may not be the most efficient line of attack, and especially at a tournament level, employing the right tool is a detail that can make a significant difference. Now your retrieve is just pretty slow, or just average?
Kind of average, you know, just not super slow. You know, I'm not mentally thinking I got to slow this thing down. You know, it's kind of a medium crank.
Trying to feel the rocks.
I'm trying to feel every rock. There's one right there.
Oh, ooh, oh yeah, good one, good one. Good one, good one. Nice one.
Okay, here we go now.
Here it comes.
There we go, right into that. All right, man.
Keeping it going, you are deadly with that crankbait.
I believe that's number 5 for us. That's a good morning. It's a good morning. It's about noon. We've already had 5 keepers. Same thing. You just got to stay with it. Just got to stay with it. Crank and crank and crank. Awesome. Awesome. Right at the top of the mouth. Look at there.
Cool.
Right at the top of the mouth. all morning, most of the fish have come just right on the bank, maybe a cast or two or a crank or two off the bank. That one, it was digging, come off the bottom, about 3 or 4 cranks in open water, and then wham, loaded up on it. So a little different feeling.
It was probably what, 20 foot off the bank? Or?
Yeah, it's probably 20 feet off the bank. Probably, probably in 10 foot of water, something like that. So that fish is a little deeper. That has not been the norm of what we've been doing. But it's a good fish.
But you are hot with that crank?
Hot, okay. I love to crank. I love to crank.
Don't go away. Kim and Greg switch it up a bit when Hook and Look returns. This portion of Hook and Look is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Simms Fishing Products, the choice of professional guides and anglers worldwide. Cushit, world's most comfortable rod butt. And by Sportfish Michigan, your source for the top charter captains and guides. Indeed, today's pattern has been all about emulating the crayfish darting from the shallow rocks, and the Series 3 crankbait has done an excellent job covering both the flat and steeper banks. But for more of a finesse crayfish imitator to cover precise targets, a tour-grade finesse jig rigged with a Rage Baby Craw trailer is a viable choice.
Fish a jig for a while. That doesn't work out, and
yeah,
I think the odds of covering more water with a crankbait may be better. But you should be able to catch a few on a jig. The tournament weights in the last 2 years have been the best in the history of the lake. I mean, it really, it's in the largemouth population, it's better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's definitely gotten better. The spots are still here, you just can't compete as well with those.
Right.
Just sitting on the log. There's one.
Good.
There's a good one. Real good one.
Ooh, that net, get that net. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Woo! Gotta warm up today a little bit.
Greggy's on fire.
All right. I like it. All right. Little finesse jig.
Yes.
Cold front, finesse jig fishing. With a crankbait and a jig, it's hard to beat that in the Ozarks. I like it.
Good job. Good job.
All right. That's one of my favorite trailers is a baby Rage Craw. On a finesse jig in the Ozarks, anywhere in the Ozarks, Table Rock, Beaver Lake, that's the perfect little trailer for a finesse jig. It just kicks down there around the rocks. Awesome. It's like a little crawfish swimming around, and swam right by him, and he couldn't take it.
What the heck? This is getting a little ridiculous. I mean, it's not like I wasn't getting bit at all. I caught the walleye, but when it came to the bass, for some reason, I was catching all the short fish, both largemouth and spots. That transition coming up there.
Ooh, yeah, that's a pretty transition.
You gonna let me catch one of those blacks?
I have a feeling you're gonna catch it. You're gonna catch the big one today.
Yeah, I always say that same thing to people when they're not catching them.
Yeah. You're gonna catch the big one today.
The truth is, you just suck today. We all have those days.
Oh man, yeah.
Regardless as to who was catching the better fish, after covering a variety of transitional banks, the two determined that the bigger largemouth were not only shallow, but located further towards the backs of creeks.
And that fish still stayed true to what we were talking about. He's still just 1 or 2 hops off the bank.
Yep.
Whereas the crankbait or the jig, the bites we are getting are super shallow.
Yeah.
There's just not that many of them up there yet.
There's one. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. It might be bigger than I think he is. He's bigger now. That's bigger now.
All right.
He got that jig pretty good. Right off that rock.
Looks like a good one.
Feels like a pretty good one. Oh, that's a real good one. I've been saving up.
You were saving it, just like you said. I'm going to catch the big one.
I've been saving up.
I'm going to catch it. I've heard it for day and a half. I'm going to catch the big one. And you just did.
But as I say, it's a humbling sport.
It is. It is.
But then out of the blue,
Wham.
this stuff happens.
It
you
changes.
know?
It changes.
It does.
That's awesome. Great job.
Some days are diamonds, and some days are stones.
How about that for a cold front bass?
No kidding.
Like that jig, didn't he?
That little old finesse jig.
All right.
Yeah, he jumped on. I mean,
Yeah.
ooh,
Good largemouth.
That's
nice
nice.
largemouth. Best one so far.
that's for sure. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Man, it's lunchtime. It's been a good day already. You said barbecue Pringles your favorite,
That's
so look
my
at here.
You got 'em.
Mine too. Barbecue Pringles are my favorite too. It's the choice of serious fishermen, is what it is.
And that's what Greg is, a serious fisherman. And I want to thank him for sharing his expertise on Beaver Lake. On our next episode, we head to Orlando, Florida to fish with longtime friend and professional guide, Art Ferguson. There are a variety of productive lakes to fish in this region, as Art shows us. Yet I observe a baffling circumstance while underwater. That's next week on Hook and Look.
Hook and Look is a Kim Stricker production.